Yo, what up everybody? It's your boy Script back with another one, and today I want to revisit an artist I've made a video on in the past but figured would be worth a second look. Almost like a case study. Because when you make a deal with the devil, it's to no end. Despite how much you gain materially, you lose spiritually and morally, as you begin to realize what it takes to keep it all going.
Why do you still do it? Why are you still out here?
Well, it goes back to the destiny thing. I made a bargain with it, a long time ago, and I'm holding up my end.
What was your bargain?
To get where I am now.
Should I ask who you made the bargain with?
with the chief commander.
On this earth?
And on this earth, and then in a world we can't see.
Now, unfortunately with hip-hop, it's not uncommon for artists to die tragically young before we can see them grow into their old age and basically grow with them, if, God willing, we stay alive ourselves. During most hip-hop legends' massive rise, even if it's tragically cut short, we still often see glimpses of what the industry has them partake in to continue growing in popularity. Something I break down on my series, The Doors to Success. Whether it's the classic symbolism, the destructive roles they play throughout what they promote, or the literal sacrifices they have to make to reach that next level, it's not often you see an artist stick around for several decades, maintaining their status in the public eye through their music and other entertainment they release. But when you do, there are often a lot of signs that they're still bound to the pact they once made. So as you see by the title and thumbnail, today's subject is none other than Snoop Dogg. Snoop's career has stood the test of time, from his rise in the early 1990s, continuing to stay on the pulse of the industry into the early and late 2000s. He had already proven that he was a name to remember, yet he'd always find ways to reinvent himself. Like the time he wanted everyone to call him
Snoop Lion, top selector #1, Ja Rastafari.
Boy, if you don't get...
Okay, yeah, that didn't work, but regardless, even throughout the 2010s, he managed to have a decent run. The thing about Snoop is that he was more than just a rapper from the jump. He had always been ready to explore other avenues when it came to entertainment, whether it be movies, TV shows, voiceovers, commercials, the list goes on. And this is what allowed him to keep his career alive and thriving. However, you'd be a fool to think that it's hustle alone that provides the opportunities he gets. If that were the case, there are millions of extremely hardworking and hustling individuals out there who do the work and put in the time. And hey, they could still enjoy the fruits of their labor, but when we're talking mainstream, public eye attention, that either comes with connections or packs, especially to maintain it. Sad news broke on Saturday, January 31st. It was reported that Snoop Dogg's daughter, Corey Broadus's daughter, Codi Dreaux, had passed away at 10 months old in the hospital. Codi was born prematurely at just 25 weeks, which is considered extremely preterm, anything before 28 weeks. Naturally, this means the survival rate is significantly lower. I actually made the other segments of this video you'll see after this part a couple months before this story broke, but it felt worth adding in, primarily because of the date the story broke, and it's more than likely a hint of another ritual sacrifice by the numbers. I know some of you watching will see this as a wild conspiracy or even dismissive, but it's so important that you consider the beast system these entertainers like Snoop are trapped in and how they operate. Now, the news broke on Saturday, and Saturday is named after Saturn, Saturn's Day. In my latest video, I go deep into Saturn's influence in our world, and in that video, I break down the connection Saturn has to Baal and Moloch. Moloch being the child sacrifice ritual made to Baal. So when you consider that the news of a child dying, one connected to a celebrity, was shared on Saturn's Day, that's worth paying attention to. I won't go too deep into that here because I cover all of that in this video that you can see on the screen, which I highly recommend you watch. But understand, unfortunately for these entertainers, the moment they sign that oath, it's as if their family becomes fair game too. But anyway, let's break it down by the numbers. The story broke on January 31st, a date written 1/31, like the number 131, and that aligns with Snoop Dogg. Using the reverse reduction cipher, Snoop Dogg equates to 32, which aligns with the date numerology of the news. And when I say the news, I'm referring to Snoop Dogg's own post, the one he put up announcing the tragedy. So what are the odds that Snoop would be announcing the passing of his granddaughter, Codi Dreaux, 104 days from his birthday, when that number aligns directly with her name? Codi passed away on January 26th, a few days before the news was made public by the family. Notice that January 26 carries both 73 and 53 numerology, and that aligns with Codi Dreaux, the mother. And when I mentioned Moloch and the notion of child sacrifice, well, notice the full date numerology of her daughter's passing carried that 73 numerology. That same number aligns with the mother's name, ritual sacrifice, child sacrifice, and the word sacrifice on its own. Before her passing, Codi shared a post on her Instagram saying her daughter had come home from the hospital on January 6th, a happy moment, only for 20 days to pass before they found out that she was gone. And notice the word death equals 20. Look, regardless of the ritual connotation I'm pointing out in this segment, I will always say RIP, because news of a child passing is always going to be sad. Let's just keep it real. But as always, I'll leave it up to you watching to decide what you think. Was it just another sacrifice the industry made through Snoop's daughter's daughter in order to continue his fame? Or is it simply the reality of being born prematurely? That's also possible, but these numbers can't be ignored. With that said, let's get into what the rest of this video was originally about before this story broke. A few months ago, on August 20th to be exact, Snoop appeared on the It's Giving podcast where he shared this.
It's what you see. They putting it everywhere.
Yeah.
I took my grandson to see, what was the movie with Buzz Lightyear?
Lightyear. I think it's
Yeah,
called
with
Lightyear.
Kiki Palmer's in that movie.
Okay,
She
okay.
plays like the daughter. So we watching it, and the lady, which is Kiki's mama, they move on into the space years, they move down the line. They're like, man, she had a baby with a woman. Oh, my grandson in the middle of the movie like, Papa Snoop, how she have a baby with a woman? She a woman. Oh, shit. I didn't come in for this shit. I just came to watch the goddamn movie. Hey, man, watch the movie. They just said she had a baby. They both women. How did she have a baby? Shh. The movie ain't over with. So it's like, I'm scared to go to the movies now. Like, y'all throwing me in the middle of shit that I don't have an answer for.
What'd you tell him?
Watch the movie. Eat this popcorn. Shh.
You said, we don't know. We don't know.
It threw me for a loop. I'm like, what part of the movie was this? These are kids that we have to show that at this age, like,
That part.
they're going to ask questions.
Yeah.
They are going to ask, I don't have the answer.
Yeah.
Well, that clip got him in some hot water with the rainbow community, voicing their disdain for the rapper over social media. On one hand, you had the Snoop is homophobic crowd, and on the other, you had people respecting him for speaking his mind and going with what he truly believed, which was that he wasn't a fan of having to explain that type of lifestyle to his grandson because it went against his beliefs. And look, let's be real, we're talking about Snoop Dogg here. He's not the beacon of sainthood. He made his first few millions off music promoting drugs, sex, and crime. But hey, it doesn't mean he can't still have strong opinions about other things. But of course, as we see time and time again, even when an artist is rich and successful, they're still bound to the chains of their bargain, preventing them from standing firm on their own stance. Fast forward 54 days, Snoop Dogg released Love Is Love under Doggyland Productions, which is behind his YouTube channel geared toward a kid-friendly audience with kid songs and nursery rhymes. Now, he's released tons of videos before this one, and they didn't cause him practically any controversy, but this recent one sure did. Fans and concerned parents were mad for two reasons. First, that he would even choose to promote LGBT messaging through his videos that are geared toward kids. But secondly, the fact that he went back on his own word. So much so that he literally made his own media that would go on to promote the same messaging he was unhappy seeing promoted to his grandson not too long ago. When it comes to the Faustian bargain, the definition states they're by nature tragic or self-defeating for the person who makes them, because what is surrendered is ultimately far more valuable than what is obtained, whether or not the bargainer appreciates that fact. I say that again because in Snoop's case, a simple apology probably would have been enough, but no, he just had to create his own nursery song and promote the same message he criticized to his own child audience. It goes to show that even if you're part owner of the company that releases the content and as big a star as Snoop, that someone else is still pulling the strings enough to make something like this happen. It's practically a humiliation ritual. Oh, you think that you can just get rich in our industry, our beast system we've created, and speak however you want? No, that's not how this works. You're always tied to us contractually, and that ensures we'll have a say in how your career plays out. And if you try to use your voice and influence to steer the masses away from one of our big agendas, best believe we'll have you go back on that and eat your words. So just a few days after releasing that song, he also partnered with the LGBTQ media advocacy organization GLAAD on October 16th, coinciding with the LGBTQ Youth Anti-Bullying Initiative, #Spirit Day. It's clear they wanted to remind Snoop who's calling the shots and remind him what happens when he gets too comfortable and wants to step out of bounds. The main thing I wanted to highlight with the gematria is that Snoop's podcast appearance where he shared his anti-LGBT views was released on August 20th, 2025, and his own pro-LGBTQ kid song came out on October 13th, 2025. Those dates are exactly 54 days apart. That number is notable because the song is titled Love is Love, and the word love equals 54 in both the ordinal and reverse cipher. Interestingly, he released all of this right before turning 54 himself. Alright, let's go back a little bit earlier in the year. On February 3rd, 2025, Patriots owner and Foundation to Combat Anti-Semitism founder Robert Kraft brought in Tom Brady and Snoop Dogg for a big Super Bowl ad, where the two awkwardly banter about the idea of hating each other over their differences. Immediately after debuting, people had a lot to say for several reasons. First, the ad didn't technically mention any particular race or ethnic group and mainly just focused on the absurdity of hate. However, it's total hypocrisy, based purely on the fact that it was funded by a staunch pro-Zionist.
That bitch is crazy.
Robert Kraft's love for a nation he's literally older than goes quite deep. He got married in Israel and has several business, athletic, and charitable ties to Israel and often attends fundraisers for the IDF. In recent years, like 2019, Kraft founded the FCAS. Fast forward a few days after October 7, 2023, and Kraft appeared on CNBC saying the following.
So I'm not sure most Americans understand that Hamas, it's not a country, it's a supposed political organization that people in this country have legitimized, but in their charter is not just the eradication of the state of Israel, but it's the eradication of all Jewish people on the earth.
A year later, he shared his discomfort with pro-Palestinian supporters during the campus protest at Columbia University. One of his more notable businesses in Israel is the Touchdown to Israel program, where NFL players are given free, highly organized vacations to see the Holy Land and come back to spread the word about the quote-unquote only democracy in the Middle East. Notably, his star player, Tom Brady, was baptized in the Jordan River in 2006 and visited an IDF base. So viewers weren't really shocked to see him participating in this hypocritical advertisement. Secondly, people were calling out Snoop Dogg left and right as a sellout for participating in the ad. Before you go defending Snoop as if he had no clue of what he was getting himself into, here's something you need to know. A close friend of his had already put him on to the realities of the situation long before this ad even came out. Unbeknownst to some, when it comes to West Coast hip-hop classics and their producers, many are quick to think of the OGs like Dr. Dre, DJ Quick, and so on, but little do people give credit to a man by the name of Farid Nasser, better known as Fred Wreck. Born in Flint, Michigan to Palestinian parents who fled Palestine after the Six-Day War in '67, Frederick moved to San Jose, California when he was just 11 and developed a deep passion for hip-hop and quickly developed the skills to produce throughout his teenage years. Frederick worked in the industry in the mid to late 90s as an A&R with MCA/Universal Records. However, it was his production skills that led him to connect with none other than Dr. Dre, and according to this LA Weekly article back in 2005, Frederick's beats were already being used by rapper Corrupt, and his CD managed to land on the ears of Snoop Dogg, who after hearing his beats decided to give him a call and ask if he wanted to produce for him, and that's when the two developed a quote, best friend relationship. This relationship was to the point where Frederick describes times when Snoop would call him on tour, quote, "Hey cuz, what does this mean when motherfuckers going up to the Temple Mount, and what is this shit all about? Cuz, why they be tripping?" Or he'll be like, "Why they building a wall around y'all people's shit? That's fucked up, cuz." So Frederick put it to Snoop like this, quote, "They don't got weapons. If someone pushes you back to the wall, all you got to fight with is yourself. If motherfuckers came to Long Beach and took Long Beach and kicked your mama from her house and said you can't leave your house at 5 because there is a checkpoint, and when you go from Long Beach to Compton to visit your auntie, you gotta go through 25 checkpoints, you're gonna get turned away, get your ass beat, or get shot and killed because you were considered a terrorist. You'd be fighting back too, dog." So the two had several conversations about the apartheid that Palestine was facing and currently is, so he clearly recognized the injustices a long time ago. Then in September 2008, Snoop was set to perform in Israel, and before doing so, he was sent a letter by the Ramallah-based group, the Academic and Cultural Boycott of Israel. In the letter, they mentioned how they were, quote, "deeply saddened and surprised by the news of his upcoming performance in Israel." The letter urged Snoop to cancel his performance until Israel terminates its belligerent occupation and complies with international law. Lo and behold, Israeli media reports Snoop Dogg cancels Israeli gig, and although the reasons in the article don't tie it to the Palestinian advocacy group's push to sway Snoop against performing, but instead due to quote contractual difficulties between the artists and the producers, it's quite possible Snoop recognized the backlash it could cause and had look. Plus, with what he was growing to understand about the situation, he may have personally just chose to back out. Now, it's really unfortunate, but truly not surprising to see Snoop go against all of that and take a check from an organization known to support the very oppression of an ethnic people he was once asking his friend Frederick about. All in all, this video isn't here to make you hate or stop listening to Snoop's music. It's to serve as a case study in the hip-hop world of what a long career in the game is like, and more importantly, what it takes to retain one's status. The awards, money, and fame don't come without a price, and from time to time, the artist will always remind us how they've taken a lifelong pact simply through their actions. Despite all the wealth, it's clear that it doesn't even grant them the power of authority over themselves. If they step out of line on an agenda, they're forced to make a whole song as an apology. Or if they clearly know about a worldly atrocity but still choose to take a check from groups affiliated with the oppressors, it's clear the character in question is a blatant definition of a sellout.